welcome to another episode of Living with Ulcerative Colitis. I'm Maya, and today's video is going to be about cold weather's effect on autoimmune illnesses. And the reason why it's the effect on autoimmune illnesses instead of just UC is because I noticed that when I'm experiencing season changes, so when we're going from one season to another season, I've noticed that certain symptoms occur in some seasons and don't occur in others. But when I try to find some people to relate with on the web, I encountered a lot of sites, but not really anyone confirming it. And so I started doing a little bit of research, and I finally found the basic 4 things that you can kind of expect when you have ulcerative colitis. And during winter time, but in the process I also found some things that are also common for anyone that just is autoimmune compromised. And so I'm just going to go through the 4 for UC and kind of speak a little bit on the autoimmune problems, that autoimmune illnesses that also have winter problems. So the first one is actually body chills. And this is something that I have experienced for many years. I noticed it the first year I was post-op from my ulcerative pancolitis. So when I finally finished with the ostomy and I just have the J pouch, I noticed that after that year, I experienced body chills after, if I was outside for a certain amount of time, I noticed that I would get cold and I would have a difficulty in warming back up. It would take most people like maybe 15 to 30 minutes inside of a heated room to completely warm up, and I would still be cold. And so I started joking about it to my family members, and I was like, I'm still cold. And then it took me a little while to realize that that might tie back in to the J pouch. And it took me some time, but after I changed the words from winter to body chills, I started getting some things of why that might occur. And one of the big reasons that they said that body chills occur when you have an inflammatory bowel disease is because of the inflammation. So your immune system is trying its hardest to combat different like the cold and flu. It's trying to keep you really healthy, and sometimes the levels of inflammation can make you experience a body chill. It can also be due to medications and the like, but for me, the reason is because I get cold and it just takes some time for it to warm me up. But it was something that I didn't realize that other people also experienced. Also in the process, I didn't know that the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has a Facebook page, but I accidentally found their Facebook page, and they, in 2014, were talking about winter myths, and I'm going to link it below so you guys can see it too. But a lot of people were talking about the different experiences that they felt during the winter time, and the thing that I saw a lot of common was our second thing, which is winter's effect on your joints. And this isn't something that is unknown, because it's mentioned a lot that arthritis symptoms can become aggravated in colder weather. But if you are a person that has UC and you have noticed that your joints lock or tighten, or they feel stiff, this is something that they talked about in the article. And in the process, I learned that the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has a Facebook page, and people on the Facebook page were talking about this article that the Crohn's and Colitis had shared, which was the 10 winter health myths busted. And people in the comments were like, these myths are like great, but I've also noticed that I experienced this, this, and this. And something that they did note was joints, like stiffness, your joint locking, and it's not actually uncommon, because if you have like an arthritis symptoms, winter is said to aggravate symptoms. And for UC, if you are like me and you're vitamin D deficient, you might also notice that sometimes you have joint pains. And I noticed last week that when I stepped a certain way, my leg kind of locked up and it did not feel at all very comfortable. And the thing is, we live in North Carolina, where we don't actually have a full winter. We have like little speckles of winter just coming in just suddenly. But last week was really cold, and because the weather keeps changing, my joints didn't appreciate it. And so they talk about that a lot, so I will link this thread of messages below because it was really interesting, and they were talking about like their flare-ups and how those happen suddenly during the winter time. And honestly, each time I see things where a lot of people that have UC are talking together, I get kind of excited because you have people to relate with. And though this thing happened about 10 so years ago, it's still interesting to still read through it. The third one is your immune system lowers. So what that means is if you are in a place where you have a cold or a flu season, then you'll notice that if you do get around people that have like the cold and you pick something up, that your immune system kind of works a little worse than it does before. I notice that if someone has the common cold and I start sniffling, I freak out because I think I have the common cold. But in the process, my immune system, when your immune system, it kind of gets like sympathetic, and it's like we have the cold, so we can't do as much as we used to do. And so I came up with little ways to kind of try to keep my immune system high, keep my body warm during the winter, so the same for the body chills. And one of the ways I do that when I go out and about is to make sure I am significantly warm. So if it's going to be a cold day, I make sure that I have something that's covering my my chest, because these are places on your body that if they get cold, then you start feeling cold. Also, when your feet get cold, your body starts getting cold as well. And so when I'm at home and the floors are cold, I make sure that I'm wearing a slipper or I'm wearing some socks. And this is all to just keep my body warm so that my immune system doesn't have to do as much. And the last one is something that I saw psoriasis, I think it's psoriasis. But if you have a skin irritation and you are an autoimmune person that has something that relates to your skin, particularly drying out your skin, winter is not the greatest friend, because though most people would think that dry skin would happen when it's really hot outside, winter weather also dries out your skin. And I've noticed that because during this time of the year, I always believed that I was getting like a heat rash because of my heat blanket. But for those of you who don't know, my poor heat blanket kind of lost out this winter, and so I haven't had it, and I have noticed that my skin is still drying out, and I still have to use more of my medication than I usually do to treat it. And that is because the weather outside, it's kind of drying, it dries you out. And so one way is the same way that I do where I wear socks to keep myself warm. I try to cover some parts of my skin, so like your face, if you didn't like moisturizers, and I use a lot of those so that I keep my body my body moisturized. And sometimes that helps in getting rid of the dry skin, sometimes it doesn't, but it's like little tips and tricks. But so those are our 4. I hope this video was helpful. Please like, share, subscribe, and please comment down below if you've noticed something that happens to you during the winter season. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and bye-bye!